So I just stopped and turned the camera back on. I also brought my chin bar over to the front to what that sounds like with that on my face. I thought it would be better to get most of the filming done on this ride going in this direction, because I'm sure when I turn around to head for home, I'll be going right into the sun and it's not going to be that great. So we'll continue on. Okay, we're off. This is a fun little road. It's called Glamorgan Road, and it heads up from Haliburton Road 503 up to just on the east side of Haliburton. So what did we get up to this summer on the Spider? Well, our first, and I'm talking about trips that we did, not just the rides that we did. You know, we had lots of rides. I actually put almost, actually over 8,000 kilometers on the Spider this year, and probably half, if not more, of that was with that lug and roll trailer behind. And so the first trip we did was back in June, and it was, we went up to the Ottawa Valley. We stayed in Pembroke, and we just sort of meandered around up there for a couple of days, and then we shot straight across the Trans-Canada Highway in the opposite direction from what we had done it a couple of years ago. And we went from Pembroke over through North Bay, and then we stayed over at Sturgeon Falls for a night. That was just kind of more like a stopover. Didn't do a lot of traveling around Sturgeon Falls, and then we took a road that was new to us, Highway 64, which goes down from Sturgeon Falls down the west side of Lake Nipissing, and we eventually made our way down to Parry Sound, spent a night in Parry Sound. So that was like the fourth night of overnight on that trip, and then from Parry Sound we just made our way home across through the Bracebridge area and then back home down through Minden. That was as I mentioned, that was the first trip of the year, and it was also still during pretty restrictive situations regarding COVID-19 lockdowns. You know, things were open, but you couldn't go inside restaurants, and all of the rest areas along the Trans-Canada Highway, although they were open for you to go into, none of the washrooms were open, and we found it to be a little bit restricting, you know, because we just had no place to really stop along the way. We had to go from point A to point B, but it was a beautiful trip nonetheless, and thoroughly enjoyed it. So the Ottawa Valley trip was also the first trip that we had the drone, and I got some beautiful shots of the Ottawa River and some scenery up and around that area. Still learning how to use it, even now. After the June trip to the Ottawa Valley, we didn't travel for almost a month. July was just a solid month of really hot weather, and so it just wasn't very pleasant to be out. So we kind of took July off from travel, and then our next trip was down to the Gananoque area, and that was a really nice trip. We'd never been to Gananoque before, right on the northern shore of the St. Lawrence River. So we got to spend a couple of days in Gananoque. We got partway down the Thousand Island Parkway before we got turned back by some weather, and then from there we went up to Smiths Falls. We spent a night there, and then headed on home from there. And the last trip we did was we went down to Trenton, and we did a nice day trip out onto Prince Edward County and kind of meandered our way around there. That was a lot of fun. We were originally intending on going to Brockville after Trenton on that trip, but again, Mother Nature chimed in and it just ended up being a really rainy week. Rainier than I sort of expected or what was forecast, so we just sort of cut that trip short and headed home. We did go back to Brockville later on in the month, but we just took the car that time. Toured around that area. Brockville's a really beautiful area. Gananoque is a beautiful area. That whole exploration of eastern Ontario was very nice. Hopefully next summer, if things kind of settle down, we're going to try and get up into Quebec, because when we were in Pembroke, they're right on the Ottawa River there, and Quebec's right across the road, but they were really being very, very stingy about people going into Quebec at that point in the summer, and rightly so. At the moment, I guess Canada is sort of firmly entrenched in what we're calling our second wave of COVID-19. Case flows are up, especially in Ontario and Quebec. The Maritimes is doing quite well because they've really taken a very aggressive approach to this whole thing, and you're not allowed to go there, it doesn't matter where you're from, without special permission, and even when you get there you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So in wrapping things up about our travel for the summer, it was restricted to within Ontario, but I was very, very happy with what we got done. We got to really get used to taking the Spider away with the trailer behind it. Never had any real issues with the trailer. It just rode along behind us just fine. And that brings us to the end of Glamorgan Road, and we're going to jump on Highway 118 here and keep going away from the sun. This is a very, very pretty section of road. Highway 118 just east of Haliburton. Lots of water along the side of the road here. There's one little section of this part of the road that we're going to come to not in the too distant future here that goes around the side of a lake, and it's super, super windy. Really, really pretty. Loon Lake. I noticed that the water level at the end of that lake was getting pretty low. Must be part of the whole kind of water management plan for all the waterways that lead down onto the lakes down below. Getting ready for the winter time. we're just coming down this last hill on 118 towards a little place called Tory Hill, and I think that's going to wrap things up for today. So thanks for coming along with the ride with me, and I hope you enjoyed it. Another beautiful day in the fall of 2020. This has been another Canuck Spider video.